It was tight end day here at Tennessee's practice facility. We talked to tight end coach Alec Ablin, and then two tight ends, both transfers, Holden Stays out of Notre Dame and Miles Kitselman out of Alabama. I'm Ryan Sylvia, this is Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. Let's jump into those comments. First, we'll start with tight end coach Alec Ablin. What was your takeaways from what he had to say?
Yeah, just what he said about Ethan Davis. Obviously, you mentioned the two transfers we got to talk to. Ethan Davis, one of those guys that's been in this system, came in last year, was kind of a highly touted recruit. Came in, I believe, with some injury issues coming out of high school, and then obviously in that spring game last year, made one of the highlight plays, and I think got hurt on that play and ended up maybe, dealing with that over the summer. But a guy, Ablin talked about him getting bigger, and you getting to see Holden Stays and Kitselman up close today. You see two guys that are pretty big, pretty huge. So I think it was important for Ethan Davis to put on some weight too, and the coaching staff kind of emphasized that. I think that's a big deal for him, especially a group that they're expecting a lot out of. I know they've mainly used the two tight ends the last 2 years, really kind of working towards getting three in the rotation there. And I think one way for Ethan Davis to kind of do that is obviously putting on some weight.
And that's big for that versatility factor, because you look at how Tennessee's used tight ends, bringing back to Princeton Fant when Hypo got here, and how he was throwing for touchdowns, running for touchdowns, catching touchdowns. You've seen that versatility transfer over to Colin Castles last year. Well, those two guys are gone. So the question for Ablin was, what is the versatility of this group looking like? And he kind of laughed. He's like, I don't know if we're going to have someone that was like Princeton Fant type of jack of all trades, but they feel comfortable with what they have. It's kind of that three-headed monster right now. Holden Stays, Miles Kitselman, and Ethan Davis, but there seemed to be a comfortability that they know that they can line these guys up as H-backs in the backfield, be those lead blockers, get some handoffs maybe in type of goal line situations, split them out wide, catch some passes, or be more of a traditional tight end. There seems to be a comfort in kind of the ability that this group has to play a bunch of different spots. That's a good thing with the new group of guys, that you still feel like there's not going to be necessarily a drop-off in terms of versatility. Holden Stays, though, kind of one of the biggest tight ends in the transfer portal. Yeah. Tennessee's able to reel him in. What were your thoughts on what he had to say today?
Kind of going off what you just talked about, the versatility. He seemed, pretty eager to kind of come in here and prove himself as a guy that can play all around. I think he used those words exactly. He wants to be a pass blocker, wants to be help in the run game. I know two of the guys we talked to today were put a lot of emphasis on that run game. We saw how successful Tennessee was with that last year. Jacob Ward and McCullen Castles helped with that. They seem like very eager to get out there and help with that, but also wanting to prove himself as a guy that can make plays downfield too and catch the ball, get into space. Ablin talked about Holden Stays being a guy that's able to do that too. And also, the question you ask any offensive transfer that comes in here, this offense, how do you perform it? How do you adjust to it? He talked about it's been a little bit of an adjustment, coming from Notre Dame, a little bit of a different scheme there, obviously coming here, being expected to play faster, but in an offense where tight ends are definitely utilized, part of the success and what they have seen that the last couple of years, of course, with some experienced guys. But Holden Stays a guy that comes in here with experience himself, from coming from Notre Dame, but seems pretty eager to prove himself in this offense and play and show his versatility as well.
Miles Kitselman, another transfer, but from Alabama, so he's got some familiarity with Tennessee. He talked about how, as a guy from Kansas who went JUCO, then to Alabama, then to Tennessee, he didn't necessarily have any emotions about the third Saturday of October, but he kind of learned it in 2022. He was here in Neyland Stadium when Tennessee got that, of course, pretty historic win, and talked about how that was kind of his introduction to SEC football, kind of saw how much it meant to everyone. He said he was on the wrong side of that one, but it was the best game he was a part of at that point. So kind of interesting to hear him from the other side of the rivalry now on the Tennessee side of things talk about that transferring in. But he's been very well praised so far. Someone that maybe a lot of people didn't think would be fully in the mix to get a lot of snaps at tight end. We've seen Tennessee really stick with two guys on a rotation so far under Heupel. Well, he's making a case that he could get a lot of snaps for this team, even though he's not Ethan Davis, who was the highly recruited guy out of high school. He's not Holden Stays, who was the prize tight end out of the transfer portal. He's still someone that can make a big impact for Tennessee this year. So I think that's something to look out for in the orange and white game coming up a week from today, next Saturday. He could be a guy that's one of the takeaways after the game is, while Miles Kitselman, he can really do it all. He comes in, you think of him as a blocker. He talked about how he's always known he's got kind of the ball skills to play tight end, though. So something to look out for as this offseason progresses is how Miles Kitselman kind of makes a name for himself, maybe to get a lot more playing time. That'll do it all from us here, though, today. Tennessee football will be back Tuesday, Thursday, walk through Friday, and then ultimately the orange and white game on Saturday. So make sure you stick with us over at VolReport.com. Men's basketball, their season's over. Transfer portal starting to heat up though. We'll see what they do going in and out. Women's basketball, as of right now, still not a head coach name, but we'll keep you guys updated as that develops. Should be kind of coming to a close relatively soon. And then baseball continues their series over at Auburn. Dropped game 1, some early offensive fireworks, but they weren't able to pull out the first win on the road. We'll see if they can bounce back tonight, force a kind of winner-take-all game 3, and then maybe take another third straight SEC series. Everything you need, Tennessee Athletics, over at VolReport.com. Links to everything you need is in the description. Thank you for watching.